Hi everybody, I'm Jack and this is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. Hope everybody's doing well out there and looking forward to a nice weekend. We're supposed to have picture perfect weather here. I'm not going to go out of town this weekend, but I'm going to try to get out. I'm not going to stick around the house all day. It's supposed to be just absolutely perfect days, both Saturday and Sunday. So maybe get down to the park, get out and about, just see if anything's going on, although not too much goes on around here. Today I want to talk about how digestion on the raw food diet, how that guides me, like sets the tone for me. So anyhow, I do videos every day. So if you're not already subscribed to the channel, I would appreciate it if you'd hit the subscribe button now and then click on the little bell and check send notifications. Be sure and check send notifications so you will stay subscribed to the channel. I'm getting ready to power up my new iPhone, which I've had for about 6 weeks and just have been putting off getting around to it. I don't like setting up those things. But anyhow, I was looking through my other one and I was going through my Kindle the other day, looking through all the various books I have throughout the years. And one of the first books I ever got was Colon Health by Dr. Norman Walker. Yeah, Dr. Norman Walker. And that book very much, that taught me some things, and it really made an impression on me almost from the beginning. And to a large extent, I don't know if I'd say so much that book or just that the idea of our digestion and our colon has kind of been my guiding force in the way that I eat and any changes I make and how I feel and what I do since I've been doing a raw vegan lifestyle. First of all, digestion. I have almost flawless digestion on this lifestyle. Now I will tell you, just for a little background so you kind of know where people are coming from, I didn't have bad digestion before when I ate the standard American diet. Now that's comparatively speaking. Obviously, you know, once we start eating all this water rich and high fiber and fruits and vegetables, we realize what digestion really is. But comparatively speaking, I didn't have troubles. I wasn't plagued, but I did have your typical stuff, you know, every once in a while. And it would come out of the blue. Back then, although it makes so much sense now, everything I can think of back then: heartburn, indigestion, diarrhea, you know, stopped up stomach, whatever thing you felt, just the most minute of not feeling good in the gut. Now I can understand, and it makes so much sense. But back then, no, I didn't understand that. But I could. I didn't have a whole lot of problem, you know, and I ate just as bad as everybody else. I ate a lot of meat. Well, I won't say I was a heavy meat eater. I ate my meat, and I ate meat heavily at times. I ate other animal products heavily at times. But anyhow, I came from a place of decent digestion. But as I've been doing this over the past 6 years, I can really just tell where I'm at all the time by my digestion. Now, first of all, like there's just some simple rules. I see people all the time, and I'm not one of those extremist Puritans, whatever, when it comes to combining foods. But good Lord, sometimes I see people, like, whether they're just listing a recipe or a meal, or whether they're laying out their whole day what they ate. I'm like, good God, how is your body processing this hodgepodge, weird mixture of stuff? You know, some of the things I see, and once again, I do break rules, and there's certain little rules I break that don't tend to bother me. Here's a good example, because people always ask me, especially on Instagram when I showed that recipe, the mango, red pepper, and tahini. I always get asked, well, what about, can you mix fruit with fat? Well, ideally, no, and that's not, as a rule, no. And I don't do it very often, but there are a few recipes I have that I do. And I always make exceptions, and I'm not worried about exceptions. Our life is more about what we're doing consistently day to day than sitting around going, oh my God, you might eat this once every week or two, or however so often. But yeah, I don't get too caught up on that. But in general, I do follow pretty good combining rules, and I follow, you know, and I eat pretty well. I eat based on my digestion. And I always know, I think I just said that a minute ago, but it bears repeating, I always know if I'm eating right or if I'm just a little bit off or this or that by how my digestion feels. Now, of course, and you know, I'm constantly tweaking this. I'm actually excited to see where I'll be in another 5 years, 7 years, because even though I've been doing this for a while, even though I feel successful on this lifestyle, whatever that means, and even though I'm thriving, it's constantly moving forward, constantly tweaking a little bit. And even just in this last year or so, you know, I can feel myself tweak little subtle tweaks where those come in, and I've talked about that before. Okay, the absolute quickest digestion, you know, is like the juices. That's why I kind of, when I can, I like to structure my day the way that I do, from the least taxing on our digestion, what takes the least amount of energy, I like to start with, and then work on up through that, because otherwise you've got, like, in other words, if you put something like, if you eat a fat, that's a lot slower in digesting. So then if you come along and eat a bunch of bananas, you know, very close after eating a, you know, heavy fat, or even just a good moderate amount of fat, it's not gonna necessarily, and that wouldn't like throw me off, and like I wouldn't be in pain or anything, but it wouldn't be my optimal digestion. My optimal digestion either starts with something that's a juice. You know, that's why a lot of the time, if I'm gonna have my orange juice, I have my orange juice first thing. And then the juicier fruits are the easiest to digest. My mangoes, my papayas, you know, back when I was in the tropics, pineapple, whatever are juicier fruits, higher water content fruits, those digest even faster. Now you move on up into the bananas, then I think of the bananas as not heavy, but a little bit heavier than the juice, a little bit heavier than, say, the mangoes or whatever. And then, you know, you do like that, and then, but there's rates of digestion for all these things, and they all digest at a quicker rate. The juice the fastest, just the plain fruit, you know, second fastest, I guess. And then, you know, you have bananas as opposed to the high water content fruits. Then you get into the fat. Now, where the cooked food comes in, that's interesting. Some of the cooked food slows down my digestion, some of it doesn't. It just depends on what I'm eating there. Like a meal of collard greens and sweet potatoes, that doesn't really slow me down any, my digestion. But I've always let my digestion be my guide, and I'm always at my best when my digestion's at its best, when I'm, you know, when I feel just flawless. And that's how I feel most of the time. And that's, even hearing me say that on the camera, you know, I will look back at this and I'll listen to myself and I'll be like, wow. If you'd have told me something like that 7 or 8 years ago, that you had flawless digestion, I'd have looked at you like you were crazy. Oh, what? You never have indigestion, you never have heartburn, you never have stomach aches. Nothing ever goes wrong. Well, I won't say never. Never's a loaded word. Yeah, every once in a while. But usually I even know why. I can identify, and I've already decided beforehand, like I've told you with the nuts before, if I every once in a while laying on the couch on a weekend night, Netflix, watching something, just that one mood hits me, and I do eat some nuts. And I you know, whatever it is. My preference is pistachios, but I know when things have been slowed down. It's not that big of a deal usually, but I can feel it immediately. When you get in tune with your body like that, you feel every morsel of food you put in your body. That's why, like I say, this method has somewhat been foolproof for me. It doesn't let me down going by how I feel. I'm always hesitant to not at least make a little bit of a disclaimer on that, because not everybody can do that. You definitely can't do that from the beginning. I'm not just saying somebody could say, hey, I want to change my lifestyle, my diet, and just start totally going by how they feel. You need to know a little bit about, you know, solid plant-based nutrition, because there are certain things that we need in our diet that we wouldn't necessarily feel their deficit on a day-to-day basis, but they can add up. So, you know, I am practical on this. I'm not totally that hippie, you know, chanting, yeah, dude, I just go how you feel. There is some science behind it. I read what people say. I read what intelligent people say. I don't read, you know, I'm not into some dude like me. I'm into the experts. I read Dr. Greger, I read Don Bennett, I read people that, you know, T. Colin Campbell, Esselstyn, the people that know the nuts and bolts of the science of this lifestyle. But Digestion 101. And if you will stop with these crazy ass combos you do. I even have people write me sometime, and I really go so far, even when people ask me about things, I don't want to be that food police and just be like, good God, are you out of your mind? They'll write me, oh, well, I had this for lunch, and that what they mix together, and I'm like, what, are you insane? And once again, a lot of times it comes back to just so many nuts. Nuts are a big issue in this lifestyle, and they touch a nerve sometimes. People are defensive about their nuts. They they don't want to give them up, and they kind of, I think people instinctively know that eating a lot of nuts. And let me clarify once and for freaking all, because people, it's not black or white. I'm not saying nuts are evil. Stay away from them. Don't eat them. You shouldn't eat them at all. You shouldn't eat. I'm not even saying you shouldn't eat them on a regular basis. When I get to the nut thing, I'm always just saying be aware of how many calories, how much fat are in whatever particular serving of nuts you have. And understand, at least have a clear picture, know how much calories and fats you're actually taking in. That's the point I'm trying to make. I'm not saying you shouldn't eat nuts. Nuts should be eliminated from the diet. I'm just saying you should be aware of that. I think the nuts are slowing so many people's digestion down. And if the digestion's not working, like the premise of this book, the body's not working. You know, our colon is our second brain, if not our main brain. Maybe our colon affects more in our body than our brain does. You know, so much can go wrong if your digestion's not working. You know, things I used to not even think of. I didn't think of connections in other ways. Headaches when your digestion isn't good or when you're clogged up. You're more prone to illnesses. I mean, everything revolves, that digestion is key. So if you can get your digestion down, once you feel, listen, whether you're losing the weight or not, whether your skin's clearing up at night, I think that digestion, I'm just going to preach it over and over, is the key indicator. If you get your digestion to where it feels flawless like mine, and everything else is going to fall into place. Your weight will even out at where it should be. Your skin will clear up. You will get all these benefits, I believe, if that digestion is right, because that's been my experience so far on this. And that and energy, I always say, is my probably two biggest things that I really enjoy about this lifestyle, is never having to worry about stomach problems of any sort and always having energy. So anyhow, hope you guys enjoyed this one to end the week. Hope you got some fun plans for the weekend. If you like this one, please give me a thumbs up, and I will see you tomorrow. Peace.